Welcome everyone
Gaming,
to
where
Cochrane
we
Gaming,
talk about video
where we
games,
talk about
board
video
games,
games,
board games,
TCGs, and
TCGs,
even
game shows
and
on
even
TV.
game shows on TV. We talk about what the game is,
who it was made for,
why it failed,
and how we would
how we would
change it
to have been more successful. Today,
My
today,
first guest
my
ever
first
on this channel
guest ever on this channel
is a good friend of mine.
and
For all of
and
you out there
for
who
all
know
of
him,
you out there who know him,
I have
J-Mail.
Please tell us about
J-Mail.
yourself.
Please tell us
and
about
your
yourself
channel.
and your
Well,
channel.
thank you for welcoming me onto the show. Like, I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. Got a lot to say about a lot of different types of games because, like, we have a ton of board games. I probably should have set up a few of those and behind me. And we played TCGs throughout the course of the years, like a half dozen or so, maybe a few more. And we're old enough to where we watch game shows on TV all the time now too. So it's a lot of fun. It's right up our alley. So that's a little bit about me. It's big gaming geek as a whole. My wife's a big gaming geek as a whole. Oddly enough, it's weird. I play less video games than the other three categories you mentioned. I know that sounds crazy, but like I wouldn't, but I play enough though. So and as far as like my own show, I run a show, an anime show called Exploring Anime with Friends, and that I'm assuming you're going to link me in the show notes. Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
Sounds
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yes.
So we cover first seasons of anime on that show in hopes of getting people into new anime that they might not have explored before. It's a show that's geared more towards the anime beginners than it is, intermediate or experts, but have a lot of fun with that. Keep a lot of current, do a few little old ones. Ian's appeared on my show a couple of times. We did Devil May Cry together. We have a Naruto One Piece episode coming up on where he's the Naruto guest star. So thank you for being a part of that, and thank you for having me a part of this show.
That recording
was fun, guys.
Check it out when that releases.
Check it out when that releases.
Next month?
Yeah, it'll be releasing the second episode in July. Yep, it's our second episode of the first season.
Right.
It's our 100th episode. So
yeah. And I'm honored to have you here.
I'm honored to have you here for my first episode for this.
Honored to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So what is the game you're going to be talking about today?
Game you're going to be talking about
Today we're going to be talking about a trading card game that ran from 2004 to 2009 called Versus System. I guess at the end it was known as Marvel Versus System because they lost the DC license, something that obviously we'll talk about later in this show. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. So it didn't run all that long, but I feel like it had about as much impact as any trading card game that lasted 5 years could have. So
Yes. So just tell us about when did it actually start? When did it actually start?
Started beginning of the year in 2024. Its first release was not Legends. Marvel Legends came much later. It first release was Marvel Origins, and then it followed it up in the quarterly format like trading card games run on, like successful trading card games run on. And I went to DC Origins. It rotated Marvel and DC sets for a long while, releasing 4 a year. Me, myself, I didn't come in until year 2 with it. I came in on the Marvel Knights set. They already had a Spider-Man, a Superman, and the Origin sets for both of them, but I came in at that point in time and played it right through. I mean, the truth of the matter is I still have decks in Dragon Shield sleeves. So it's one of those things where it's kind of like still play it off and on today because my wife played it along with me and we still play it now. Or I guess my girlfriend played it along with me back then. So
yes.
How many players could play it at one time?
Well, I mean, standard formats was 2 players at one time. Anything that was a tournament would be 2 players, 1v1 matches. There was a format called Two-Headed Mutant where it was a 2v2. I don't know if there were any actual tournaments for that. And towards the end, it's after the Marvel Legends release, there was a Coming of Galactus expansion that was released where you could take multiple people against a Galactus in a big raid. I don't feel like you could really. One person played Galactus. I don't feel like the players really stood a chance if there were more than 5. because really when it came down to it, Galactus started extra turns ahead. And if you were playing like 6 players, he would be starting off on like turn 9 or something ridiculous like that. And the 9 cost characters on up were too much to handle at that point in time. So I would say that, so I guess the range would be 2 to 5, but like in any other trading card game, there were some people would sometimes just like do big free-for-alls and whatnot, but officially 2 players.
All right, how would you just describe the game as if someone's never played it before? What does it play like? Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, it was unique in the fact that you didn't rotate turns, you rotated initiatives on the same turn. You both drew for turn at the same time. It was, you start with 4 cards in your hand, standard mulligan rule. You could send them to the bottom of your deck to draw 4 new cards if you didn't want them. You drew 2 cards per turn. You and your opponent both did that together, same exact time. One person had initiative on odd turns, one person had initiative on even turns. And a lot of times, decks didn't play. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where if you go first, you're at an extreme advantage or whatnot. It's some decks just flat out played better on even initiatives. Some decks played better on odd initiatives. So it like Doom as a whole, like a lot of decks played better on odds, but Doom plays better on evens. If you were playing a deck that involved Dr. Doom at a central point. And standby phase, triggers all happen at that point in time. The person with initiative builds first. The person with initiative, not with initiative, builds second. The person with initiative goes to combat first, and then it goes back over to the other person, and then recovery happens at the same time. And typically, every single turn, you would resource a card from your hand. You take a card, you put it in your resource row. You didn't have to, and there were decks that thrived on being 4 resource points or less, like the New Brotherhood, Good Guys, JLA, JLI. So there were decks that thrived on that, but typically you would resource 1 card per turn. And then the amount of resources that you had in front of you, you could play characters and equipment that do not exceed the amount of resources. So if you laid your turn 5 resource, you could play a 5-cost character on the field, and you wouldn't be able to play any other characters. Or you could play a 3 and a 2 cost, or you could play a 4 cost and a 1 cost equipment. So a lot of things you could do. As far as we mentioned characters are the ones that you're going to combat with. Equipment gave you advantages one way or another. There were also locations and plot twists too. You could play any location or plot twist that you had threshold for. Threshold equaled the amount of resources you had in front of you. So you could play as many plot twists and locations as you want during the course of a turn. Locations had to be flipped from the resource row. Plot twists could be played from either or. And, those were unlimited as much as you could play. Characters and equipment were limited by the amount of resources in front of you. When it came to combat, the person attacks first. There are 2 rows for combat. There's the front row and there's the back row. You can't attack from the back row unless you have range. Nice and simple. You can't attack to your opponent's back row unless you have flight. Again, like pretty logical things. There are a lot of other keywords that I'm not going to go into today until we start talking about like decks that I played. There were a lot of other keywords, but those were just the rule breakers. They're the type of things that every single successful trading card game has. Well, every single trading card game has, or at least like, games like Magic and Pokemon.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then, combat just went through because when you attack a character, your attack hits your opponent's defense. Their attack hits your defense back. So if I'm swinging my 11-11 character into your 11-7 character, what would happen, the first number being attack, the second number being a defense, my 11 attack hits your 7 defense. I cause that 4 breakthrough damage to you. And then I stun your character because they fell in combat. And so you take 4 cost of the character. Meanwhile, your 11 attack hit my 11 defense back. So my character gets stunned too. And stunned is when you turn it upside down on the battlefield. and I take 5 damage also. You start the game with 50 life apiece. The game does not end when you hit the negatives. The game ends on the turn, at the end of the turn that you hit the negatives. So theoretically, someone could win -32 to -49 in a game. And I've definitely played a game where I had negative like 70 something and won. So it's sometimes both decks go off the same exact turn. As far as different things, same as any other. Well, no, actually, one of the things that was great about it, stall was viable, control was viable, rush, burn, army, all different eras. You saw different decks in the forefront. And yes, rush was preferred and had to be teched against in a lot of eras, but there were decks that rose to the top without trying to win quickly. Even alternate win conditions that were viable. So
nice, yeah, that's I've played it. I've played it
okay.
Once, so I was confused. And I was because I came from Magic the Gathering, and there it's one person's turn. They put down their mana, cards, play their cards, then go into attack phase, and all this stuff, and then it's the next person's turn. So you do it all on your turn, and not really alternating. You alternate back and forth after each.
Yeah, the difference in initiative versus turn, and also the difference in, like, in Magic, you have no free cards. In theory, all plot twists and locations are free in versus once you have threshold to play them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Who is the game made for?
You know, honestly, it's I can't. The game was made for like fans of comics, Marvel and DC, and also fans for who wanted like a slightly more complicated trading card game. Really, when it came down to it, it's so much more intricate, so many different ways to win than if playing like Yu-Gi-Oh. Even it's more complicated decks, even rivaled and probably surpassed more complicated decks in Magic as far as that. Whether that was a good thing or a bad thing really is in the eye of the beholder, but it targeted comic fans more than everything. The truth of the matter is, there were plenty of decks that did not require much brain power at all. I'm not trying to insult anyone, but there were decks that were easier to play that a comic book fan could get into because, I'm playing Sabretooth on turn 4, Magneto on turn 5, and I'm beating you to the face. After playing like Pyro and Avalanche, or some more obscure members of the Brotherhood early on, there were decks where you could literally run Spider-Man or Superman from turn 2 onward for the rest of the game, breaking the uniqueness of the characters. So, and there were plenty of decks that a huge comic fan would just get into and learn, because you didn't have to learn, because a card that was good in the first set could still be good 10 stats later. So,
okay. I know Magic the Gathering has like modern and vintage. Did first edition have that?
Yeah, it was called Golden Age, Silver Age, and Modern Age. Modern Age was last 4 sets, Silver Age was last 8 sets, and Golden Age was everything. In addition to a lot of other formats. I mentioned Two-Headed Mutant before. One of the formats that I felt was really fun to play was the clone event. It's where every character was non-unique. You would typically only be able to, like, if in a regular Doom deck, where if I had my 4-drop Doom out and then I played a 6-cost Doom, I lose my 4-cost Doom. He KOs. So the clone event was really fun because you could play your favorite character over and over again. Bring Your Own 2 team was a lot of fun too. You could only play cards that were stamped with the teams that you played in your deck, but your affiliations got crossed over right off the bat for free. So everything started. So if you were playing like Secret Society and Shadow Pack, everyone starts as both at the beginning. I like playing an X-Men Crime Lord deck for that one. It was janky. I played a lot of jank. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I did not play meta. I barely played anti-meta. I played a lot of combos in Jank, and I enjoyed it more that way. I probably could have won more if I actually played better decks, but
that brings us into my next question. What was your favorite deck to run when you played?
I mean, I had different favorite decks in different eras, but like I have one that's near and dear to heart that I always fine-tuned through the years. It's mostly foil. I think there's like 6 cards in it that wasn't. And it was a deck that ran around Mojo. Yes. The big fat entertainer himself. I called it my big fat entertainer for the deck. You would utilize Longshot on turn 1 because obviously you had to keep it thematic. And Longshot had a great ability where you activate him, so he taps. You call 2 card names, and you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. You get all copies of those 2 card names, and the rest go to your bottom of your deck. My deck was flooded with Multiple Man and Wildebeest, 2 different army characters that I had a lot of. And I also had ways of rigging the top card of the deck, too, in the deck in the later years. So early on, though, I would just call Multiple Man and Wildebeest. Now, why is this such a huge thing? These were 2 of the army characters that were easy to vomit out onto the field, and they were both unaffiliated. Mojo starts with a 5 attack, and he gets +3 attack for every unaffiliated character on the field. So the whole deck was about taking away your opponent's ability to reinforce, about giving Mojo extra attacks, and just have this big, beefy, like 30 attack character swinging on you, twice when you have 50 life on turn 5. So,
wow.
The biggest flaw of the deck is because I was unaffiliated all the way through, I couldn't reinforce. I could barely team attack because the Multiple Men could team attack. Oh, Wildebeest could team attack with itself, and the Multiple Man could team attack when they had the X-Men affiliation. So I'm also taking all my opponent's damage to the face in it too. So I really have to hope that when I'm going against a rush that, that I can just push more damage quicker. But yeah, other ones that I enjoyed through the years, it was Illuminati towards the end was a lot of fun. I played multiple variations of that, a black bolt blow up deck, a stall out with Professor X, and I also the deck I played the longest was probably Morlock's Evasion. Evasion was a keyword where you could stun a character that you control to automatically recover it at the start of the recovery phase. You only normally get 1 free recovery a turn. The Morlocks thrived on having stunned characters on the field, and the fact that you can stun them for various different effects, card draw, life gain, so on and so forth, negation. It was a lot of fun to play and very intricate. So I enjoyed it.
Gotcha. I know a lot of people out there. What's the best deck ever in any TCG game? So what would you say would be the most meta deck in versus system?
The best deck ever comes as a result of them not testing the last set at all. The game was done, and it really just came down to that. It's like, we're not going to waste the time testing everything to see if it's broken or whatnot. Exiles had but it only lasted for like 1 tournament cycle, and they weren't really even official tournaments. So it was a deck that generated a whole bunch of free resource points to vomit roughly 200 damage out onto the field on turn 4. So it's
wow.
If it were tested or anything, and if they were trying to build it, and if it stayed longer, Blink would have hit the ban list, and that would have slowed down the deck substantially. So when I'm thinking best deck, I'm thinking something that had longevity. And I can think of Doom was always a menace right from the very first set. There was a 4-cost that prevented your opponent from playing Plot Twist from their hands. There was a 6-cost that prevented your opponent from playing Plot Twist from the resource row. There are ways in the later portion of the game to break the uniqueness rule to get them both out at the same time, so Plot Twists are gone from the game as long as you have an unstunned Doom character. There was a 4-cost Plot Twist that if you played Doom this turn, you can send 3 points of characters back to your opponent's hand. He had Mystical Paralysis that allowed you to tap him to tap any other character. there was a lot of control and a lot of variations of Doom throughout the year, whether it was Crisis, whether it was Common Enemy, teams with the Fantastic Four. He got a reprint in Marvel Legends, the fourth to last set. Always seemed like he was playable. And then another one who just dominated for at least a 2-year period and required you to tech against it. There was a 2-cost Quicksilver, whether it's the 12 CCs of Quicksilver, 12 character cards of Quicksilver, or Quicksilver bullets, or variation. Quicksilver simply said free. He was a 3/3 2-cost character, and he had a free effect. If you had no face down resources, you could ready him. You would pump him with a bunch of attack pumps that lasted for the turn, and you would just wail on your opponent and many times ending by turn 3. One final one to highlight. There was a rigged elections deck. Exhaust 25 Arkham inmate characters to put counters on rigged elections, and you win the game. There was a rigged elections deck that got like 4 cards banned that could just flat out win on turn 2. So, and even in the the post, because the game ended in 2009, the community still has tournaments now. So that's one of the things that there's still an active tournament going on every year for this in the year 2026. There's a rigged elections deck that if you play Clash of Worlds, which makes your characters non-unique, where you vomit out Invisible Woman, you team it with the Fantastic Four, because Invisible Woman has 2 different 1-cost characters, and there's a character that allows you to activate. I forget whether it was a Franklin Richards that allowed you to activate. It comes in exhausted, so the next turn you activate it. Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic cost 1 less to recruit. So now with 2 cost Mr. Fantastics and 2 1-cost Invisible Womans, all your Invisible Women in your hand are free, and all your Mr. Fantastics in your hand cost 1. It's a Franklin Richards. It's the family teamed up with Arkham to like win turn 3, turn 4. Yeah, it really depends how great your draw is.
Wow.
So, and even then, it's still TNB is probably still the standard. The New Brotherhood. It's, I guess I'm thinking that either all said and done, years later, no new cards, people testing it over and over again, it either comes down to Toolbox X-Men or the New Brotherhood Rush. That are the 2 that probably stood the test of time the best.
Awesome. Well, why don't you promote your channel for a little bit here, and we'll get on to the next topic.
So my channel is Exploring Anime with Friends. I'm exploring anime with friends on every social media platform that I'm on, from Instagram to TikTok to even Threads and Blue Sky. So I don't do an active Twitter anymore because X, just because I don't see anything ever happen on it. I'm also exploring Anime with Friends on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, everywhere where you can get your podcast. And, once again, it serves as an introduction. It only covers first seasons of shows, and it's to introduce new people to anime, but also to introduce anime veterans to ones that they haven't seen before and ones that are currently going on that they, we watch it, so maybe you don't have to, So really it comes down to it. We do 6-month seasons. We probably during the course of a 6-month season, and we do it weekly, probably 7 new ones. So, but yeah, also my show with my daughter, A Daughter, a Daddy podcast is also on the channel too, and it covers a little bit of everything, including some anime as well. So
awesome, and all that will be down in the description.
Awesome.
Now we're on to the topic that probably everyone wants to hear. Why did the game fail?
Upper Deck. I mean,
Just upper deck. Yep.
Like,
upper deck. Yep.
I mean,
Yep,
you know,
I agree with
the
that.
truth of the matter is there's a lot of different reasons why people point to for it failing. Like, some people said the game was too complicated. Okay, yeah, maybe that dwindled the player base down. Upper Deck mismanaged a lot of properties during that time. One of the things that I remember, there were times we would go to like a City Champions or some sort of like pre-release event, and like the playmats for first prize wouldn't be there, or the promo cards, the EA promos that you got were from the previous one. Like, so prize support often got mixed up, especially towards the mid-later portion of the game. I think early on it was pretty spot on and whatnot, but really when it comes down to it, Upper Deck mismanaged this game very poorly. Again, some people will point to the complexity of it. Some people will point out to that it not expanding into other types of comics, which, you know, to be honest, I'll agree with that to an extent, because I can't remember how many times I heard people calling for a Spawn expansion or a Tick expansion or so on and so forth. We got one Hellboy expansion once, and it was like a subset that was in between the sets. So it was like a single, you know, prepackaged. You bought the package, you got all the same cards, and you had to buy it a couple of times in order to get everything in it. So kind of standalone, like the Coming of Galactus set. And they should have expanded into it, because really the thing that truly crushed it in the end was the loss of the DC license. They continued for 2 sets afterwards, back-to-back Marvel sets, Marvel Universe, Marvel Evolutions, releasing all of the X's, whether it's, you know, X-Force, X-Factor, X-Siles, Weapon X, so on and so forth. There was only so much you could do without having the DC stuff in between. And I'm thinking at that point, it's kind of like, well, maybe if you actually got Spawn out earlier, you could have picked up the Image contract. Because this game officially ended in 2009, and we all know Iron Man came out in 2008. The Iron Man movie, the first one.
Yeah.
If it lasts 2 more years, it's getting a lot of MCU sets after that.
Oh, yeah.
So if they could have even bought themselves 2 more years and actually tried to get the Image license, they could have even survived the loss of DC, which sounds unthinkable now, but by that point in time, the Avengers movie would be out, and from there, it could have been a completely different story. So I blame on Upper Deck. I know a lot of people point to a lot of different things that maybe my Upper Deck take is a little bit of a hot take, but you know, they couldn't keep NBA during the time. I think they had Yu-Gi-Oh for a short period of time, and then like a co-license of Konami, and they lost that. I think they lost hockey during the time. So like they lost major sports during the time. So really, when you think about it, the company was screwed up, and a lot of other great TCGs like the WoW TCG, it just didn't end up happening because the company's a big cluster F.
And now Wizards of the Coast have Marvel and DC
yes, they
licensing.
do. So, and they're showing that it's working because people are buying those sets. So
yeah.
So
So how would you have changed the game to make it more successful?
I loved the fact that that so many cards were so viable. I loved the fact that you could show up to a 10K tournament with a jank deck and still have a shot at day 2. And I know that a lot of people will point to it being complicated, destroying the game, but I wouldn't change that portion of it. what I would do simply, I would make sure that it really embraced comics as a whole. It felt like it just tried to keep Marvel and DC too much. Like, if you would have pulled in, IDW or Valiant, Archie, so on and so forth, and you would have gotten Sonic the Hedgehog, My Little Pony, Transformers on cards, I feel like it's, not even mentioning Hellboy and Spawn, but if you would have gone into those properties that other comic book companies had, and you did those comic versions of them, I think you could have, I don't know, I would have put Jughead in one of my decks. Like, I wouldn't care if Jughead was working with Dr. Doom and Darkseid. So, like, I think that, and Magic shows that it's working right now. Like, and I get it. Some people hate Magic because of that. Like, some people absolutely hate that it destroyed the thematicness of it. But more people are playing Magic now because of it too. Like some people, Sonic joining Magic is the reason why they started playing Magic. So yeah, I would have embraced other comic companies sooner, and not just worried about, and not just brought in a single Hellboy subset at a point in time when I felt like sales were starting to decline. It should have been part of the vision to get both Image. It should have been part of the vision to get Image in by year 3, and it just wasn't. So, So I would have at least prioritized Image and definitely have gotten IDW in and Archie.
Oh yeah. I mean, once you would get Archie in there, you would have had, like you said, access to all of Sonic, and that probably would have revitalized if you could have Sonic the Hedgehog.
So, and you could definitely see where, crossovers, and again, it's limited by the time, because in 2009 when it ended, you didn't know the MCU was going to blow up. You didn't know that there was a potential Super Smash Brothers extended universe coming at some point in time. Like, so it's easy to say all this stuff now in hindsight, 17 years after the fact. Man, I am old. But the truth of the matter is, it's even back then, I know people who were calling for Spawn and the Tick persistently. And I wouldn't have stopped playing if I had access to Optimus Prime and Rainbow Dash. So, as a matter of fact, they'd be going in decks.
I mean, if Transformers was my power, I've gotten more into it. I'm a huge Transformers fan.
So yeah, embracing comics more as well.
Yeah, and if they last long enough, you never know that smaller company called out when they were there could have had some cards.
That's a different story for a different day.
Yep. So today, guys, we learned about Versus System, what it was about, why it failed, and how we could change it to have been successful. I like to thank my good friend J Mill here, just coming out and just hanging out with us today.
It was fun.
You can check out him on all the social medias, which I said will be linked down in the description.
Excellent. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And if there are any other games that you guys would love, please comment, subscribe, and like a button. And hit the like button. If you enjoyed watching it and you want to see more, just spread the word. I'm Man Cochrane, and this has been Cochrane Gaming. Peace.